When Zhao Xintong lifted the World Snooker Championship trophy in 2025, he also fulfilled a promise he made to his family years ago, a promise that seemed impossible when he was just a kid rolling around snooker tables on roller skates. Behind every great champion is a strong family, and Zhao's story begins with two remarkable parents who believed in their son's unusual dream. His father works as a vice president at a hospital, while his mother serves as a nurse at the same medical facility. They're both dedicated healthcare professionals who understand the value of hard work and commitment. Growing up as an only child in a middle-class family, Zhao had the full attention and support of his parents. But that support didn't come easily. When their 8-year-old son started spending hours at snooker tables outside local shops in Shenzhen, his parents weren't exactly thrilled. His mother, in particular, had concerns. She watched her young son choose a cue stick over textbooks, and like any parent, she worried about his future. The turning point came during a conversation that would change everything. When she asked Zhao what he planned to do after university, he looked her straight in the eye and said he wanted to be a professional snooker player. There was no hesitation in his voice, no doubt in his mind. That moment of clarity from her son convinced his mother to stop questioning and start supporting. The family made a smart compromise. Zhao would spend half his day studying and the other half practicing snooker. This balance kept both his academic progress and his passion alive. By the time he was 10, his parents had installed a full-size snooker table in their home, even though their son could barely see over it. Zhao later reflected on this period, saying he felt like the luckiest kid in the snooker world. Having supportive parents and a snooker table in the living room gave him advantages that many young players could only dream of. While Zhao's parents laid the foundation for his success, his girlfriend Yi has been his rock during the most challenging and triumphant moments of his career. Though she keeps a low profile, Yi has been a constant presence in Zhao's life, especially during his journey back from suspension. Very little is known about Yi, as she prefers to stay out of the spotlight. However, those close to Zhao know how important she is to him. She was there during his darkest hours when he faced a 20-month suspension, and she was there when he made his historic comeback. When Zhao won the World Championship, Yi was right there celebrating with him. In his emotional victory speech, he made sure to thank her, alongside his parents and manager. The moment was touching. Here was a man who had just achieved the impossible, and his first instinct was to acknowledge the people who had stood by him. Yi's support has been crucial during Zhao's time, living in Sheffield, where he spends half the year training. Being away from home for months at a time can be challenging for any relationship, but their bond has only grown stronger through the ups and downs of his career. Zhao's journey into snooker began in Shenzhen, a city that became famous for its snooker scene after the sport spread from nearby Hong Kong in the 1980s. At just 8 years old, he started playing on tables outside local shops. But there was one problem: he wasn't tall enough to reach the table properly. Instead of using a stool like most kids would, Zhao had a different idea. He put on roller skates, thinking they would make him look cooler and help him move around the table faster. This creative solution might have been the first sign of the innovative thinking that would later make him a world champion. The roller skates became his trademark during those early years. While other kids struggled to reach difficult shots, Zhao would glide around the table with confidence. Those early experiences taught him to be quick with his shots and comfortable in unusual positions. By age 13, Zhao had made a decision that would shock most parents. He left school to focus entirely on snooker. He practiced 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no days off. When asked about this intense schedule, he simply said it was what other Chinese players were doing at that age, so it was what he needed to do. Every great player has heroes, and for Zhao, that hero was Ding Junhui. When Zhao was 17, his biggest dream was to be like Ding, who had won the UK Championship 3 times and the Masters once. Ding had shown that Chinese players could compete at the highest level, and he became the blueprint for success. Following in Ding's footsteps, Zhao eventually moved to Sheffield, the snooker capital of the world. Living in the same city, where the World Championship is held every year, he could feel the history and tradition of the sport around him. Interestingly, Ding's father became one of Zhao's biggest supporters. In a documentary about Zhao's career, Ding's father openly called Zhao his favorite player. He described Zhao as a rare talent and praised his personality, seeing something special in the young man. This support from the Ding family meant everything to Zhao. It showed him that he was on the right path and that even established champions believed in his potential. Zhao's talent eventually caught the attention of Victoria Shai, who runs a snooker academy in Sheffield. When she saw what Zhao could do with a cue, she made a bold decision and asked Ronnie O'Sullivan to help mentor him. Ronnie, known for being selective about who he works with, agreed to take Zhao under his wing. They would practice together, share meals, and Ronnie would drop professional tips along the way. For Zhao, this was like being coached by a living legend. Ronnie saw something special in Zhao's wild shot-making and cool attitude. He believed the young Chinese player had what it took to become a future world champion. The relationship between mentor and student would later be tested in the most dramatic way possible when they faced each other in the World Championship semi-final. Zhao defeated his mentor convincingly, handing Ronnie one of the worst defeats of his career. After the match, they hugged backstage, showing the mutual respect that had developed between them. In 2021, Zhao announced his arrival on the world stage by winning the UK Championship in York. He defeated a lineup of seasoned stars, including John Higgins, Jack Lisowski, Barry Hawkins, and finally, Luca Brissell. This victory showed everyone that he belonged among the elite players. He followed this up with a win at the Berlin Masters in early 2022, taking down big names like Mark Williams and Judd Trump before beating fellow Chinese player Yan Bingtao in the final. By then, he had climbed to 8th in the world rankings and later reached number 6. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. Zhao was being called the future of snooker, and many predicted he would become China's first world champion. But then came the scandal that nearly destroyed everything. Zhao was one of 10 Chinese players suspended during a massive corruption investigation. While 9 of them were caught fixing matches, Zhao's situation was different. He didn't fix any matches himself, but he admitted he knew another player who did and had placed some bets. The result was a devastating 20-month suspension. The suspension period was the darkest time in Zhao's career. He felt embarrassed and disappointed in himself, knowing he had let down his family, his supporters, and the sport he loved. But instead of giving up, he used this time to become stronger. His manager Victoria Shai provided crucial support during this period. She told him he hadn't killed anyone or lost his arms and legs. He had made the biggest mistake of his life, but he could learn from it and become a stronger person. Zhao kept practicing 4 times a week during his suspension, determined to return as a better player. When his ban ended in September 2024, he didn't waste time feeling sorry for himself. He returned to the Q Tour, snooker's amateur league, and stormed through nearly every match like he had something to prove. The experience had changed him mentally. He was stronger, more focused, and hungrier than ever before. The suspension had reminded him how much snooker meant to him and how badly he wanted to succeed. When Zhao returned to professional snooker, he had to start from the very beginning. Because of his suspension, he had to qualify for the 2025 World Championship through 4 qualifying rounds. But he made it through, joining a record-breaking 10 Chinese players in the final 32. As the tournament progressed, Zhao was the only Chinese player left standing. The final against Mark Williams was intense, but Zhao prevailed 18-12 to become the first Asian player ever to win the World Snooker Championship. He was also the first qualifier to lift the trophy since Shaun Murphy in 2005. Zhao's victory changed everything overnight. When he returned to his family home in Shenzhen, he was thinking about what disguise he might need to wear if he went out in public. The quiet kid who once rolled around on roller skates had become one of the most famous people in China. His career earnings now sit at £1.3 million, but according to WPBSA chairman Jason Ferguson, this is just the beginning. Ferguson believes Zhao could become the richest player in snooker history and the potential for endorsement deals. But Zhao is focused on winning more trophies and inspiring the next generation generation of Chinese players. His victory has shown young players across China that they can achieve anything with hard work and dedication. That's a wrap on Zhao Xintong's life so far, and for more snooker content, click on the screen right now.